We are live. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our session today, which is all about hashtag productivity. And if you've been tuning in during August and last week, we said that we would be chatting about some specific tools that we need to implement in our business to help improve our productivity. And today we are talking about Office 365 versus G Suite. And I'm super excited to have the Blue Ninjas here with us today. We have Louisa Stewart and Julie Taylor. They're all the way from the Netherlands. So I'm loving the fact that UPvisor is going global. And I connected with Julie during a Future Females networking session and gave us the opportunity to connect around systems and processes. And both of us, and all three of us, because we had a follow-up session, we are super pumped about connecting in around productivity and helping to create efficiencies in the workplace. So I asked these two wonderful ladies to go live with me today to chat about G Suite and Office 365. And Julie, Louisa, please go ahead, introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about the Blue Ninjas before we actually jump into the topic for today.
Well, thanks for having us, Christine. It was great to connect with you recently and good to be collaborating with you. So this is Louisa.
Hi.
I'm Julie. We're Blue Ninja Business Support. We're based in the Netherlands. We're at our office at the World Trade Center in The Hague today.
Awesome.
So Blue Ninja, we have 4 ninjas that we offer to our clients. That's a process ninja, a project ninja, a virtual admin ninja, and a report ninja. Or people can make a ninja up of their own of those key elements.
I like that.
But we believe every business needs a ninja.
We do.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I like how you call them ninjas, right? Because they're like sort of operating in the background, but if you don't have them, then your business could potentially not go as well and grow as fast as it could if it had some ninjas in the background. I love that.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you guys have had a little bit of a transition process with switching from G Suite to Office 365, and it's been a journey. You even wrote a blog post about it, and I was looking at it today, and I was like, this is crazy, the way that you guys have had to journey this out and all of the issues you've had. Yeah, I like that. So you've got the experience from both sides, right? So maybe give us like a broad overview of what the differences are between Office 365 and G Suite, and maybe touch on why you decided to switch over to Office 365.
Sure. Well, I'll start with this.
Go for it.
Yeah. So when we were looking at sort of what tools that we needed, we were sort of looking at an online version of a suite. And G Suite seemed to be the best way of moving online. We encourage this with our clients as well to be as virtual as possible and connected with each other. So G Suite seemed to be the natural progression. Having worked with Office 365, both of us had for years worked with Microsoft packages, and there were always problems and niggles that we struggled to overcome. So I thought, oh well, G Suite, give it a go. I actually had worked with Blue Ninja before I met Julie, and I had it all set up. So when Julie came on board and we formed our partnership, we were trying to work out how to make this work together. And that's where we started to run into some problems because of the way that we had structured it just didn't quite work for us. So then we were trying to consider, well, do we want to shift over from G Suite to Office 365 to make our lives a little bit easier? We work with multiple clients, so we had a number of factors that we were considering. And we also had an IT expert that we worked with throughout the whole of our planning phase on whether it was the right move for us or not. So so we had some pros and cons that we looked at. I'll just talk through a little bit of these.
Yes, please.
A little table of pros and cons.
I like it.
So for G Suite, we know it integrates with devices. It integrates very well with your Chrome. It has a lot of flexibility. It's very robust. It allows live sharing and editing, and that was quite crucial for us. And our clients also liked using Google Drive. So we're also trying not to be swayed by what they wanted as much as what we needed. So that was a factor at the start of our journey of do we need to stay with it because of our clients, or can we help to work with them in other ways? And G Suite syncs automatically with all your different systems and settings, and it's quite a cool tool to use. what we found with us was it wasn't as user friendly for us because we're dealing with multiple client logins.
Yeah.
There was I guess a bit of a risk of because in your Google Drive, a lot of stuff sits together. So we were a little concerned about the possibility of accidentally shifting a file from one client's drive to another without even noticing. We've had that
horrible idea.
Oh, your heart stops. You're like, where did my folder go? And I think with G Suite, because we were doing an event with a client, and the travel service was CCing us on all of the confirmations, and Google G Suite, Gmail will pick those up and pop it in your calendar. So we ended up with so many flights across 2 weeks.
Where am I going?
Oh my gosh!
And you can manually delete them, but of course that feature was quite useful for us for other things when we were traveling. So it was either do we turn it off and not make it work for us, or do we keep it on and then have to deal with all the changes, etc. So we were kind of thinking about how we were using it. Yeah, and for Office 365, I think storage was a big deal for us because we were having to pay for extra storage with G Suite, with Google Drive, and it comes with 1 terabyte of storage with Office 365. So that was a big factor in our a pro for Office 365. It now has co-authoring. It never used to have that. I think that was an added feature that Microsoft brought in maybe a couple of years ago to compete with Google. So once we knew that was available, we really we were taking it a lot more seriously.
I think there's some various versions backwards and forwards. It's just work on something together at the same time.
Yeah,
absolutely, makes much more sense.
And now it syncs automatically as well. And I think we were liking the way that it was on a desktop as well. G Suite is all online. Like, you don't have that option of taking it onto a desktop version, and there are some restrictions on Office 365 of having it on your online only. So it was there was some more flexibility, I think, of having the desktop version. So those were our pros and cons that we worked through at the start of our journey to work out what we were going to do next.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you guys have a little bit of a financial understanding as well, right? So I'm sure that costs factored into your decision somehow. And because I'm a financial brain, costs are really important to me. And I sort of have this idea that they are relatively on par if you're looking at the basic packages. They're roughly the same in terms of monthly subscriptions, but maybe just expand on that for me a little bit and help us understand what the cost structures actually are for the two and how they compare.
Yeah, so overall the costs were on par. Did you already mention about the space was additional cost in the Gmail side, on the Google Drive side. The only thing to bear in mind is as a business, whether you want like an info email address or an admin app, that is an additional cost that you may want to do. We did. We thought it was a good idea. There's only 2 of us now, but we don't know how the company's going to grow, and it helps having all the emails in one place, and then we can manage that appropriately. So there was an additional cost of getting that for the Office 365.
But I guess the saving that you have because you don't have to pay for the extra space on Google Drive, I would say that's quite a significant saving that comes through from there, right?
It was, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. So maybe just to understand, like, what the complications are between having the one versus the other, and maybe you touched on it already a little bit around the pros and cons. And also, I think the ultimate question is potentially going to be, which platform is better suited to a specific person? Like, is it just personal preference, or does it depend on what your functionality is that you require? Or help us to make that final decision.
And like we said before, we'd used Office 365 for many years, and you feel like, should I be going down the G Suite route, because that seems to be where people are going? But sometimes it's just stick with what and what works. And that was the thing about the Office 365 is you can separate out your clients easier. They just get muddled together. The folders are separate. The emails are separated better. And you've got to think about data protection and security. And what do larger companies use? you know, it was different because, you know, we do know a large company that uses G Suite, which is why Louisa started down that route. But, you know, you can still start with something and then start using it and thinking, actually, it's not quite for me. So we've taken all those factors into, so yeah, you've got to evaluate it for yourself. How are you going to use it for you and your business, but also for your clients? And, you know, just because all your clients are using Google, you know, it might still not work for you. So as long as you have some understanding of the Google side, then that's cool.
Yeah, and I know of a situation with a company where they were adamant that everyone was going to use G Suite. That was their product of choice. And they said, you know, anything that comes external to that, we're not going to consider it. Then the finance team went, but G Suite won't allow us to do what we need to do. We have to have Excel because we can't manipulate the data the way that we need to. So they had to make exceptions because of the team going, we can't do our work without having an external source that, you know, they're using a lot of data. So there's other factors as well. So I think it's a really important thing to talk to the team about the needs before you take that step forward, and just make sure that those factors are taken into account.
Christine, how do you find G Sheet versus Excel for financials?
Well, I think there's like no comparison, right? But it probably comes down to what you are actually using Excel for. But as soon as you start using slightly more complicated functions than some min, max, average, you know, those sort of things, if you're wanting to do VLOOKUPs, if functions, pivot tables, all of those things, you can't do it in Google Sheets. You have to use Excel. And even doing the online version of Excel versus the desktop version of Excel, I tried desperately to try and use the online version because it's cheaper to not have to purchase the license with the desktop apps, but I just couldn't do it. And there is a little bit of functionality restrictions in the online version than on the desktop version. So I will always swear by Office 365, but it's because it makes sense for my business model, because I'm in the financial space. I'm always going to have to be doing data manipulation. But Google Sheets, there is just no comparison to what you can do in Excel.
And that's where we were like, oh, we both love Excel. Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Talk about that until the cows come home. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, maybe like on that point, just quickly for those of you guys that are listening, we've got an Excel intermediate course happening next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, happening via Zoom. So you don't even have to be in the same country. It could be someone in the Netherlands connecting with me in South Africa. And I'm super excited for that session. And we will be doing stuff like VLOOKUPs, if functions, COUNTIF, SUMIF, and all sorts of other interesting things. So if you want to sign up for that, we will be popping the comments in the links below. You guys are welcome to join. But Louisa, Julie, it was really great to have you guys here with me today. Just maybe in closing, do you guys have any final words that you would like to offer to our audience?
Yeah, I mean, just one of the sort of bugbears I had, you know, I started working with Louisa. She's like, use, you know, Google, it's the way forward. I was like, okay, let's have a go with this. And then email management was a real headache for me. You know, it was just grouping things up and I just couldn't, you know, separate out which was the right email to the right client, even if it had the same subject heading to start with. So a simple, you know, button press to release it, but at the time when you're under pressure, that they're all grouped up and you can't find the right one. You know,
that's the worst.
And I think as well that with Office 365, it has taken away some other product use. So we were using Trello and Slack. When using G Suite, they're all integrated into the Microsoft product package. So there's also those other factors that if you don't have to use those other tools, you know, find something that works for you. But I think whatever decision you make for your business is the right decision.
Sure.
Just weigh up what you need, do your pros and cons list, and just work out what fits with your business, because, you know, what works for us won't work for someone else because of the way that we work.
Absolutely.
So but I think it's just a case of don't rush into anything either, you know, do your research and get a feel for what you like as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, for you guys, it's taken a long time, right, to be able to make that transition fully into Office 365. And I believe you're still struggling with some of those factors.
We gave it 3 months. We built a 3-month program with the IT person to not push ourselves forward, but we still have to keep G Suite because we can't roll over all of our 130 gigabytes of space, because Google no longer allows you to transfer that to a free account. And we only found out that at the end of our journey when we were trying to transfer it over. So there are those issues that, you know, products change the way that you work with them, you know, quite often. So you know, what might work this week might not work next week. So it's just a matter of thinking through logically, and you know, we're not trying to put pressure on ourselves either to wrap this up. But I think our blog has a bit more detail about the problems of file transfers and that sort of detail.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out for our listeners. And just watching the journey with Louisa and Julie has been interesting, just reading through that blog and watching their frustrations that they've had during the process. So if you are considering jumping from G Suite to Office 365 or even the other way around, yeah, just make sure that you are aware of what this migration process might look like. It could be a longer term program or project than you might anticipate. So yeah, awesome, ladies. Really, really wonderful having you guys here. We will be talking a little bit more about other tools and tricks next week. I don't even know what the topic is yet, but I will for sure be getting Julie and Louisa back at some stage during September or October as we are chatting about systems and processes. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to chatting to you again.